My wife cheated on me with her boss, and now she's claiming half our $800, $0 estate, including my family home worth $500, $0, while secretly hiding thousands in offshore accounts. I thought I knew her, but I'm losing everything over her betrayal and the lies. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to find out my wife was cheating on me through a series of strange, almost cinematic events. Honestly, it felt like I was living in some messed-up soap opera. The most surprising part, it all started with what I thought was just a normal day, but turned into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Her name, Jessica. We've been married for about 8 years now. She's the kind of woman who always knew how to keep her looks, always dressed to impress, and she carried herself with a kind of bitchy confidence that I used to find attractive. She's also incredibly manipulative when she wants to be. I always thought I knew her limits, her secrets. But I was wrong, so wrong. It started about 3 months ago. Jessica began acting distant. She'd cancel plans last minute, say she had work or some emergency. I thought she was just busy with her career. She's a marketing executive, always climbing the ladder, always busy with her big deals. But then I started noticing things, small things, really. Her phone would be glued to her hand at odd hours, and I'd catch her deleting messages or hiding her screen when I walked in the room. She'd get defensive when I asked about her phone, brushing it off with a laugh or a quick change of subject. One night I came home early from work, something I rarely do, and I caught her in our bedroom, her phone open on the nightstand. I saw a message pop up on the screen. "Can't wait to see you tonight, love you." It was from someone named Mark. I froze. My stomach twisted hard enough for me to feel sick. I stared at that message for a second, then I looked at her, and she looked back at me with that fake, innocent smile she always used when she was lying. "Who's Mark?" I asked, my voice low and steady, but my mind already racing. Her face went blank for a second, then she laughed it off. "Oh, just some client," she said. "He's harmless, just work stuff." But I knew better. I could see the flicker of guilt in her eyes. That wasn't just work stuff, that was something else. Over the next few weeks, I started digging. I couldn't help myself. I looked through her emails, her social media, her bank accounts. The more I looked, the worse it got. Jessica was seeing Mark, her boss, I later found out, at least twice a week. They'd meet in hotels, in restaurants, even in her office after hours. And the lies. They kept piling up. She'd tell me she was working late, going to a conference, or meeting clients. But I had the proof: credit card charges for hotel stays, receipts from restaurants I'd never heard of, and messages that made it clear they were having sex. The worst part, when I confronted her, everything. She called me paranoid, insecure, jealous. "You're imagining things," she said with that bitchy tone she always used when she thought she was right. "Mark's just a friend. You're overreacting. You're crazy." But I wasn't crazy. I was just tired of her lying, tired of feeling like I didn't know the woman I married. All these revelations hit me like a freight train. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. I'd always worked hard to provide for her, to build a life with her, and now I find out she's been sneaking around behind my back with her boss. It was like the ground had shifted beneath my feet. I started questioning everything: our marriage, our future, my own judgment. How had I missed all the signs? How could I have been so blind? And yet, amid all this chaos, a new thought started forming: revenge. I knew I couldn't just walk away and pretend this never happened. Jessica's been claiming she's entitled to half of everything: our estate, our savings, the house. And honestly, I'm starting to think she's serious. She's hiding money in offshore accounts. I found evidence of that too. It's like she's planning to take everything I've worked for, just because she's mad and hurt. So I decided I wouldn't go down without a fight. I started gathering everything: bank statements, account details, even recordings of her lying. I knew I had to be careful. Jessica's sharp, manipulative, and she's a bitch when she doesn't get her way. If I wanted to keep what's mine, I'd have to be smarter. I'd have to plan my moves carefully. I wasn't just gonna let her walk away with my money and my house. Not without a fight. This is where I am now, sitting here, staring at the mess she's made, feeling more betrayed than I ever thought I could. I thought I knew her, thought she was the woman I loved. Turns out, she was just a cunning, selfish bitch who was willing to ruin everything for a bit of sex with her boss. And now, I'm trying to figure out what the hell to do next. how to take back control of my life and stop her from ripping me apart financially and emotionally. It's a nightmare, honestly, but I'm not done fighting yet. After I found out about Jessica's affair, everything changed in an instant. I thought I was just going to confront her, maybe yell, maybe cry a little, but what I didn't expect was the level of deceit she had stacked up behind my back. Finding her with Mark, her boss, was just the beginning. The real shock came when I started digging deeper into her finances, her secret accounts, her lies about where the money was going. That's when I realized she's been planning her escape for a long time, probably even before I caught her. The first thing I did was sit her down for a serious talk. I needed to hear her explain herself, even if I already knew her answer. I wanted her to admit everything. I told her I knew about Mark, about the hotel stays, the dinners, the secret messages. Her reaction was classic Jessica, shrill, defensive, and dismissive. She everything at first, of course. "You're crazy," she snapped. "You don't have any proof, you're just paranoid." But I had enough evidence now, screenshots, bank statements, the hotel receipts, and even some recordings I managed to secretly make. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk she always wore when she thought she was in control. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, crossing her arms. "You're ruining our marriage over some stupid accusations. I've been working my ass off and you're just jealous because I have a life outside you." Yeah, right. Her words felt like poison. It was clear she was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt myself, but I wasn't falling for it. I knew what I saw and I knew what I had. That confrontation left me feeling hollow. I was angry, yes, but mostly I felt betrayed. I thought I had built a life with her, our house, our savings, our future. I had worked tirelessly to give us a good life, and now I was staring at the possibility of losing it all. Jessica was claiming she deserved half of everything, our estate, our savings, even the house worth $500,000. She's been hiding money. I found offshore accounts linked to her name, and I knew she was planning to walk away with a big chunk of what I thought was ours. I couldn't just sit back and let that happen. I started to plan my next move. I reached out to a lawyer I knew, someone who specialized in divorce and asset protection. I wanted to make sure I kept what was legally mine. I also started gathering evidence, more emails, bank statements, and even some recordings of her lying about her whereabouts and her plans. I realized she's been manipulating her way around the truth, trying to make me look crazy if I ever dared to confront her publicly. The thing is, Jessica's not just a cheat, she's a master at deception. She's bitchy when she wants to be, and she's good at spinning stories that make her look innocent. She's told everyone, including her family, that I'm just insecure and jealous, that she's been working hard and I don't understand her. Meanwhile, she's been sneaking around, hiding money, and planning her escape. It's like she's been living a double life, and I was just too blind to see it. I feel stupid for trusting her for so long. I mean, I always thought we had something real. I thought I knew her. But now I see her for what she truly is, a manipulative, selfish woman who's willing to ruin us all for a bit of sex and money. That realization hits hard. I don't know how I missed all these signs, how I didn't see her sneaking around or her secret accounts. Maybe I was too comfortable, too naive. Or maybe I just didn't want to believe she could betray me like this. Now I'm stuck in this mess, trying to figure out how to keep what's mine. Jessica's claiming half of everything, her words, not mine, and she's confident she can get it, especially with her lawyer whispering sweet lies about entitlement and community property. I can't let her take it all. I've worked too hard, sacrificed too much, but I also know she's probably got more tricks up her sleeve. She's hiding money, lying about her assets, and trying to spin this whole thing in her favor. I'm not going down without a fight. I've decided I'll confront her again, but this time with a clear plan. I'll show her I'm serious about protecting what's mine. I've started to organize everything: financial records, text messages, emails. I want to be ready when I go to court or when I meet with her lawyer. I don't trust her to tell the truth, so I need to be the one with all the facts. The emotional toll is worse than I expected. I feel like I've been punched in the gut every time I think about what she's done. I can't stop replaying the moments I missed, the signs I ignored, the times I trusted her when I shouldn't have. It's a bitter pill to swallow. I always thought we had something real, something Worth fighting for. Now I realize I was just fooling myself, that she was always more interested in her career, her money, her affair than in me. I want to believe I'll come out of this okay, but right now I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I'm angry, heartbroken, and honestly a little scared. What if she manages to take everything? What if I lose the house, my savings, everything we built? That thought keeps me awake at night, but I also know I can't let her win. I have to stand my ground, protect what's mine, and see this through. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am, betrayed, hurt, and ready to fight for what's left. Jessica may have tried to ruin me, but I'm not giving her the satisfaction. I'll do everything I can to keep my life from falling apart. That's the only thing I can do now. Keep fighting, keep pushing, and hope that justice somehow will find its way to me. After I started gathering all the evidence, bank statements, emails, secret offshore account details, I realized just how deep Jessica's lies went. It wasn't just about her affair with Mark. It was about her entire scheme to walk away with as much of my money as possible. She's been planning this for months, maybe even longer. I found records of transfers to accounts in the islands, Swiss bank statements, and even some shell companies registered under her name. The extent of her deception was staggering. I knew I had to act fast. I contacted a lawyer specializing in high net worth divorce cases. I wanted to make sure I was protected, that I could fight for my assets and prevent her from draining everything. When I sat down with him, I laid out everything I knew. He looked over the evidence I brought and immediately told me I had a strong case. He said Jessica's hiding assets, and if I played my cards right, I could keep the house, the estate, and most of the savings. But I had to be meticulous, careful, and ready for a long fight. Jessica, on her end, started to get more aggressive. She's a bitchy, manipulative woman. I caught her trying to turn the situation around. She told her friends I was paranoid, jealous, and that I was just trying to control her. She claimed I was making all this up, that I was just insecure because she was successful, and that I was trying to keep her from her true happiness. But I knew better. I had the receipts, the proof, and her own words on tape. Still, her attitude was one of entitlement, like she believed she was owed everything she was trying to take from me. One night, Jessica snapped at me during a heated argument. She said, "You're just jealous because I've been more successful than you. You're insecure and you can't handle the fact that I'm better than you." That really pissed me off. I mean, she's always been bitchy when she doesn't get her way, but hearing her say that like it's some kind of victory made my blood boil. I wanted to scream at her, tell her she's a lying, cheating slut. But instead, I stayed calm, cool, and collected. I knew I had to keep my temper in check if I wanted to come out of this with anything. I also started to think about how to handle the house. It's worth about $500, $0, and I've put a lot into it. Over the years, Jessica is claiming half of everything, including the house. Her lawyer told her she's entitled to it since we're married. But I argued that it's a family home, a marital asset, and I had proof of my contributions. I also threatened to get a court order to freeze her assets, especially those offshore accounts, so she couldn't just drain them all before the divorce was finalized. That seemed to shake her up a bit. She started to realize I wasn't going to roll over. Meanwhile, I kept a close eye on her. I installed some hidden cameras just in case she tried anything sneaky. I didn't trust her anymore. I knew she'd try to hide more money, lie her way out of this, or even try to manipulate the court. I also reached out to a private investigator, someone I could trust, to follow her, just to confirm her whereabouts and activities. The last thing I wanted was for her to claim she was somewhere she wasn't, or that she was working late when she was actually meeting Mark or doing God knows what. The emotional toll was brutal. Every day felt like walking through a minefield. I was furious at her, devastated that I had been so blind, and scared that I might lose everything I worked for. I kept questioning myself. How did I miss all the signs? Was I just too comfortable? Did I really know her at all? The worst part was feeling powerless, knowing she was scheming behind my back and that I might not be able to stop her from taking what she wanted. One thing I learned through all this was how dangerous a manipulative woman can be when she thinks she's got the upper hand. Jessica's bitchy attitude, her lies, her gaslighting, they were all part of her game. She wanted to make me doubt myself, to make me look bad in front of others, but I refused to be played. I knew I had the evidence and I knew her game. Still, it hurt. It hurts to realize you've been married to someone who's only been using you for her own gain. I also started thinking about what I really want. Do I want to fight for the marriage? Honestly, I don't know anymore. The trust is gone. The respect is gone. All that's left is a bitter sense of betrayal. But I do want to protect what's mine. The house, the savings, the estate, those are my hard-earned assets. Jessica can't just walk away with a big part of what I've built. I'm determined to keep every penny I can, even if it means going through a long, messy divorce. So I've been preparing for that. I've been talking to lawyers, gathering evidence, and planning my next moves. I know Jessica will try to spin this, to make herself look innocent and me look like the villain. But I've got enough proof to show she's been lying, cheating, and hiding assets. I want to make sure that in the end, I get what's rightfully mine and she doesn't walk away with half of our estate just because she's good at manipulating people. Honestly, I feel exhausted. This whole situation has drained me emotionally and financially, but I also feel a strange sense of clarity. I see what she really is: selfish, manipulative, and utterly untrustworthy. And I know now I can't let her get away with it. I have to be smarter, stronger, and more determined than she ever expected. I'm not going to let her ruin me, not without a fight. The more I dug into her finances, the clearer it became how deeply Jessica had planned her escape. She wasn't just sneaking around with Mark. She was building a whole backup plan to leave me high and dry. I found evidence of offshore accounts in the islands, Swiss bank statements, and even some shell companies registered under her name. She'd been funneling money out of our joint accounts for months, maybe longer. It was like she was preparing to disappear with a huge chunk of our estate, our $800 estate, mostly tied up in the house and savings, which she's now claiming she's entitled to split in half. I knew I had to protect myself legally. I hired a top-tier divorce lawyer, someone who specialized in high-net-worth cases. Sitting across from him, I laid out everything I'd uncovered. He was impressed but also cautious. He told me I had a strong case, but I needed to be ready for a long fight. Jessica's lawyer would do everything to spin her as the victim, claiming she's entitled to half because we're married. That's typical, I guess. But I had the evidence, and I was determined to fight for what was mine. Jessica, meanwhile, was ramping up her bitchy attitude. She started to accuse me of being controlling, jealous, and paranoid. She'd tell her friends I was just insecure because she was more successful, which was true, but not in the way she thought. I was successful because I worked my ass off, while she was busy sneaking around with her boss. She kept trying to gaslight me, saying I was imagining things, that I was just upset because I was insecure about her success. I could see her manipulative streak coming out more and more. One night during an argument, she snapped at me. She said, "You're just jealous because I've done better than you. You're insecure and that's why you're so paranoid." That comment made my blood boil. I wanted to scream at her, tell her she's a lying, cheating slut who's been trying to ruin us. But instead, I stayed calm. I knew I had to keep my cool if I wanted to come out of this with anything. She's good at spinning stories, and I needed to be smarter than her. I also started doing some sneaky stuff myself. I installed hidden cameras around the house, just in case. She tried to do something stupid. I didn't trust her anymore. She's always been bitchy when she doesn't get her way, and now I was convinced she'd try to hide more money or even manipulate the court system. I also hired a private investigator to follow her, just to confirm her whereabouts and see if she was meeting Mark or doing anything suspicious. I needed to know what she was up to, especially with the offshore accounts she'd been funneling money into. And then there was the house. It's worth about $500, and I've poured a lot into it over the years. Jessica is claiming half of it, saying it's part of the marital estate. But I argued that it's a family home, that I contributed most of the mortgage payments, and that it's not just some asset she can walk away with. My lawyer agreed, and we started preparing documents to prove my contributions. I also threatened to get a court order to freeze her assets especially the offshore accounts, so she couldn't just drain everything before the divorce settled. The emotional toll was crushing. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry all at once. Every time I thought I was making progress, Jessica would throw another lie or manipulative tactic at me. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see her sneaking around or hiding money. I felt so stupid for trusting her for so many years, but I also knew I couldn't let her get away with it. That's what kept me going, knowing I had to fight for what I deserved. One thing I realized during this process is how dangerous a woman like Jessica can be when she thinks she's in control. She's bitchy, she's manipulative, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to get her way. Her lies, her gaslighting, they're all part of her game. She wants to make me doubt myself, to make me feel guilty, to turn everyone against me. But I refuse to let her win that way. I've got enough proof to push back, and I'm ready to take her to court if I have to. The hardest part is the emotional weight. I keep replaying all the moments I missed, all the signs I ignored, and I wonder how I could have been so blind. I thought I knew her, thought I loved her. Turns out I was just fooling myself. Jessica's been a selfish, manipulative bitch from the start, and now I'm paying the price. But I'm not giving up. Not yet. I'm determined to protect what's mine, to keep the house, the savings, everything I worked so hard for. This situation is a nightmare, but I know I have to keep fighting. For myself, for the life I want to rebuild. Jessica may have tried to tear everything apart, but I won't let her. I'll go through the legal battle, I'll expose her lies, and I'll come out on top. That's the only way I see forward now, because I refuse to let her destroy me over her betrayal, her greed, and her selfishness. I've learned that trust is fragile, and sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most. But I also know I have the strength to stand up and fight back. And I will. I never thought I'd be in a position where I'd be fighting to keep what's mine from someone I once loved and trusted. Jessica's manipulative streak is worse than I imagined. She's been trying to spin her story, telling everyone, her friends, her family, that I'm the bad guy, that I'm paranoid and controlling. She's claiming I've been abusive, that I've been trying to trap her at home, that I don't give her any freedom. It's all lies, of course. I've never raised my voice at her, never laid a finger on her. All I ever wanted was honesty and respect. Now I realize how good she is at twisting the truth. Jessica's lawyer started pushing hard, claiming that she's entitled to half of everything, our estate, the house, the savings. She's even trying to get a court to order access to the offshore accounts, which she's been secretly funneling money into for months. I fought back with everything I had. I showed the court my proof of contributions, mortgage payments, utility bills, receipts for improvements I made to the house. I argued that the house is a marital asset, yes, but that I contributed most of the funds, and I had the documents to prove it. Meanwhile, Jessica continued her bitchy attitude, throwing tantrums, trying to intimidate me, even accusing me of being abusive. It was all part of her game, trying to make me look like the bad guy so she could get her way. I stayed calm, kept my evidence ready, and refused to fall into her trap. I knew she was good at gaslighting, but I also knew I had the truth on my side. The biggest shock came when I found out she'd been secretly transferring money into offshore accounts. She'd hidden thousands of dollars in accounts in the islands and Switzerland. I found records showing she'd been funneling cash out of our joint accounts over the past year, slowly building a stash outside of my view. That's when I realized she's not just cheating, she's trying to run away with everything. She's planning to leave me with nothing, and that made me furious. I hired a private investigator to follow her around. The guy confirmed what I suspected. Jessica was meeting Mark, her boss, in hotel rooms, restaurants, and even in her office after hours. She was having sex with him, no doubt about it. That was the final nail in the coffin. I had proof of her infidelity, proof she was hiding assets, and proof she was planning her escape. I also started to prepare for the worst. I met with my lawyer and told him I wanted to freeze her offshore accounts and seize any assets she was hiding. We filed motions to prevent her from transferring or hiding any more money. I also arranged for a forensic accountant to dig through her financial records, to find every hidden dollar. I knew she was trying to pull a fast one, but I was determined to fight back with everything I had. The emotional toll was brutal. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and angry. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I let her manipulate me this way. I thought we had a good marriage built on trust, but now I see that she was always planning her escape, always scheming behind my back. It's more than just cheating, it's betrayal on a level I never expected. I feel like I've been like the rug was pulled out from under me. But at the same time, I realized I couldn't just sit back and let her walk away with everything. I had to fight for what was rightfully mine. I'd worked too hard to build our life together. The house, the savings, the estate, they're my assets, and I won't let her take them without a fight. I've been preparing for the upcoming court hearings, gathering all my evidence and making sure I have everything in order. I want the court to see the full picture, that she's been lying, cheating, and hiding assets all along. Jessica's arrogance is starting to crack. She's realizing I'm serious about fighting back, and it's making her more aggressive. She's threatening to ruin me, to turn everyone against me. But I know her game. I've seen her manipulate her friends, her family, even her lawyer. She's good at spinning stories, but I've got the truth on my side. I just need to stay focused, patient, and prepared. The hardest part now is dealing with the emotional fallout. Every day I wake up feeling like I've been punched in the stomach. I keep replaying the moments I missed, the signs I ignored, and I wonder how I could have been so blind. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. And now I realize I was just fooling myself. She's been using me, lying to me, hiding her true colors. It's hard to accept, but I know I have to move forward. I've learned a lot through this process. Trust is fragile, and sometimes the people closest to you are capable of the worst betrayal. Jessica's bitchy, manipulative attitude is a warning sign for anyone who's been in a similar situation. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't turn a blind eye to the small lies. Because, in the end, those small lies add up to something much bigger, something that can destroy you. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. I know I can't change the past, but I can control what happens next. I will fight for my assets, for my future, and for my sanity. Jessica might think she's got the upper hand, but I'm not giving her an easy win. I'll see this through to the end, no matter how ugly it gets. Because I refuse to let her walk away with everything I've worked for just because she's been sneaky and manipulative. I deserve better than that. And I will get it. The court date finally arrived after months of legal battles, evidence gathering, and sleepless nights. I sat in that courtroom feeling a mixture of exhaustion and determination. Jessica looked smug as she sat across from me, her bitchy smirk plastered on her face, confident that she'd come out on top. Her lawyer was whispering in her ear, probably telling her how easy it would be to walk away with a big chunk of our assets. But I knew better. I had everything laid out, the proof of her affair, the offshore accounts, the hidden money, the contributions I'd made to the house. I was ready. When the judge called the case, I presented my evidence, screenshots, bank statements, recordings, everything. I explained how Jessica had been secretly funneling money offshore, lying about her whereabouts, and trying to claim half of what I'd built. I told the court about her affair with Mark, how she'd been sneaking around, cheating on me, and planning to leave me with nothing. I emphasized that the house was my primary residence, that I had contributed most of the mortgage payments, and that her claims to half were unfounded. Jessica's lawyer tried to spin her story, claiming she was entitled to her fair share because of the marriage. She sat there, looking bitchy and manipulative, trying to act innocent. But I could see through her act. I had enough evidence to prove she was lying, hiding assets, and cheating. The judge listened carefully, asking questions, and reviewing the documents I submitted. I felt a flicker of hope as I saw her lawyer stumble over some of her claims. In the end, the court ruled in my favor. Jessica was ordered to pay back the offshore accounts, and the house was awarded to me as my primary residence. The judge also ordered her to pay a substantial portion of the estate, but not half, just enough to cover her dishonesty and her betrayal. Jessica's face fell, her bitchy smirk replaced with a scowl of frustration. She tried to argue, to manipulate, but the judge wasn't having it. I felt a wave of relief wash over me as I realized I was finally getting some justice. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Jessica was furious, but she knew she couldn't win anymore. She tried to threaten me to say she'd ruin me, but I had already taken steps to protect myself. I closed the offshore accounts, transferred the remaining assets into my name, and started rebuilding my life. I knew her threats were empty. She was just angry and bitter. I also cut ties with her family, who had always been partial to her, and started focusing on myself. Living without her was a huge adjustment. The house, which I'd fought so hard to keep, now feels like a fresh start. I've begun to rebuild my confidence, even dating again, though it's still hard to trust fully after everything. The betrayal cut deep, but I learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to realize your own strength. Jessica's lies and manipulation cost her far more than just the assets. She lost her marriage, her reputation, and any respect she might have had left. Looking back, I see this as a hard but necessary lesson. Trust is fragile, and it's unwise to ignore red flags. If I could give advice to anyone in a similar situation, it would be this: document everything, protect your assets, and don't be afraid to fight for what's yours. People can surprise you, sometimes for the worse. Jessica's betrayal opened my eyes to the fact that even the person you love most can turn out to be your greatest enemy if they're only out for themselves. Now, I'm finally able to breathe again. I've learned to value myself more, to stand up for what's right, and to never take trust for granted. I'm still healing, but I know I'll come out stronger on the other side. The pain of betrayal doesn't just fade away, but it becomes part of your story, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there's a path forward. I've walked that path, and I'm finally free.